I mean, there's an election coming up. There's as you talk, uh, You're Welcome is one of the 15 shows that you host.
It's down to one.
Okay, it's down to one,
Yeah.
but I'm a big fan. You talk about libertarianism a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, is there some practical political direction, like in terms of we as a society should go? I don't mean we as a nation. I mean we as a collective of people should go to make a better world from an anarchist point of view.
Sure. I think politics is the enemy, and
How
anything
do you define politics?
the
So
state,
like,
the government.
okay,
So anything that lessens its sway on people, anything that delegitimizes it is good. I wrote an article a few years ago about how wonderful it is that Trump is regarded as such a buffoon, because it's very, very useful to have a commander in chief who's regarded as a clown, because it's going to take a lot to get him to convince your kids to go overseas and start killing people and making widows and orphans, as well as those kids coming home in caskets. Whereas if someone is regarded with prestige and they're like, oh, we need to send your kid overseas. Oh, absolutely. I mean, this guy's great. So that is a very healthy thing where people are skeptical of the state.
but there's a lot of people that regard him as one of the greatest leaders we've ever had.
Yeah. Dinesh D'Souza, he's another Lincoln.
I When you talk shit about Trump or talk shit about Biden, think I'm trying to find a line to walk where they don't immediately put you into this person has Trump derangement syndrome, or they have the alternative to
But
that.
I'm more than happy when people are preemptively dismissing me, because then I don't have to waste time engaging with them, because those people will be of no use to me. When I was on Tim
Yeah,
Pool recently, Tim Pool's show, Tim Pool's known for his little like hat. I got a propeller beanie, motorized, and it was just spinning the whole 2 hours,
I
like
understand.
a 1950s thing. The point being, I wore it because there's lots of people who would say, I can't take seriously someone who wears a hat like that. And my point being, if you are the kind of person who takes your cues based on someone's wardrobe as opposed to the content of your ideas, you're of no use to me as an ally. So I'd be more than happy you preemptively abort rather than waste our breath
Now
trying to engage.
this is a very, very deep thing that you and I disagree on, which
Okay.
is this is goes to the trolling versus the love. Uh, is I believe that person instinctually dismisses you on the very basic surface level,
Yes.
but deep down, there's a wealth of a human being that seeks the connection, seeks to understand deeply, to connect with other humans that we should speak to. So,
Yeah, you and I completely disagree.
so you're saying,
I'm
like,
saying there's no mind there literally.
okay, so let's. I
I'm
naturally
not
think that
exaggerating.
majority. So I naturally think the majority of people are have the capacity to be thoughtful, intelligent, and learn about ideas that they instinctually, based on their own like current inner circle, disagree with, and learn to understand, to empathize with the other. Like I and in the current climate, there's a divisiveness that discourages that, and that's where I see the value of love, of encouraging people to strip away that surface instinctual response based on the thing they've been taught, based on the things they listen to actually think deeply.
Have
I
you ever had gone to CVS or Dwayne Reed and your bill, how much you owe them is $6, and you give them a $10 bill in a single and watch the look on their face? You watch them void their bowels and panic because you've given them $11 on a $6 bill.
Mhm.
This is not a mind capable or interested in thoughts and ideas and learning.
No, you're talking about the first moment of a first moment where there's an opportunity to think.
They are desperate to avoid it
No, they're just it's
and incapable of it.
I just they have the same exact experiences I have every single day when I know it's time for me to go on a run of 5 miles or 6 miles or 10 miles. I'm desperate to avoid it, and at the same time, I know I have the capacity to do it, and I'm deeply fulfilled when I do it, when I do overcome that challenge.
You are one of the great minds of our generation. You are telling
Uh-huh.
me that any of these people can do anything close to the work you do?
Not in artificial intelligence, but in the in ability to be compassionate towards other people's ideas, like
Con-
understand them enough to be able.
Compassion requires a certain baseline of intelligence because you have to perceive other
Yeah,
people as being different but of value.
yeah,
That is a
exactly.
sophisticated mindset.
I think most people are capable of it. You don't think so?
No, and nor are they interested in it.
But in that kind of, if you don't believe they're capable of it, how can anarchy be stable?
If you have a farm, there's one farmer and 50 cows. It's very stable. You're not asking the cows where to farm things.
Yeah, but the cows aren't intelligent enough to do damage.
Cows cows certainly bulls could they could do a lot of damage. They could trample things. They could attack you. Cows are like how much do they weigh? Like
So,
4,000 pounds. It's like,
can you connect the analogy then? Because like,
sure, you can't expect that.
yeah,
Saying a cow's a cow isn't a slur. It's not saying you hate cows. Cows, or even let's take the example I always use with good reason is dogs. Okay, I always say to study how human beings operate, watch Caesar Milan, because human beings and dogs have co-evolved. Our minds have both evolved in parallel tracks to communicate with each other. Dogs are can be vicious. Dogs, for the most part, are great, wonderful, but you can't expect the dog to understand certain concepts. It's not and now most people are offended. Are you saying I'm like a dog? If you're a dog person like I am, this is actually a huge compliment. Most dogs are better than most people. But to get the idea that this is something that is basically your peer is nonsensical. Now, of course, this sounds arrogant and elitist and so on and so forth, and I'm perfectly happy with that. But it is very hard to persuade me or anyone that if you walk, George Carlin has that joke, think how smart the average person is, then realize 50% of people are dumber than that. If you walk around and see who's out there, these people are very kind. They are of value. They deserve to be treated with respect. They deserve to be secure in their person. They deserve to feel safe and to have love. But the expectation that they should have any sort of semblance of power over me or my life is as nonsensical as asking Lassie to be my accountant.
so but that goes to power, that not to the ability, the capacity to be empathetic, compassionate, intelligent. What if I were to try to prove you wrong?
That's a
uh,
great question. Okay.
what would you be impressed by about society? Well, how would I show it to you?
That's a good question. How would you show it to me? Because I think something has to be falsifiable if you're going to make a claim, right? So what would it,
Because we both made claims that aren't a kind of our own like interpretation based on our interaction. Like when I open Twitter, everyone seems to say
why do you only follow one person? Who do you follow? Who's the one person you follow?
Stoic Emperor.
Okay.
I follow a lot of people.
Oh,
I have a
secretly?
script. I have a
Okay.
script that
Of course you do.
I have an,
I'm a
an
robot.
I have an entire interface. So I think Twitter's really
This is real love. It's not ironic love. I
yeah,
love watching it, and I'm sure you do too.
yeah.
I love watching a quality mind at work because when someone has a quality mind, they're often not self-aware. I catch this on myself
Hmm.
of how it operates, and then when other people see it, they're like, "Oh my god, this is so beautiful," because there's
Yeah,
such an innocence to it.
yeah. But like when I open Twitter, I'm energized. There's a lot of love on Twitter. People say like
I love I agree. You don't think I have a lot of love on Twitter? My fans pay my rent.
I mean, I don't know your experience of Twitter, but when I look at your, which is a fundamentally different thing, I'm saying my experience from the, so maybe you can tell me what your experience is like as a human. So when I observe your Twitter, I think I wouldn't call it love. I would call it fun.
Yes.
And because of that, that's a different kind of that like love emerges from that
Yes.
because people kind of learn that we're having this is like game night, like
Yes.
we can talk shit a little bit, we can
Yes.
and you can even like pull in, you can make fun of people, you can have the crazy uncle come over that is a huge Trump supporter or somebody who hates Trump, and you can have a little fun.
Yes.
I get it's a different kind of thing. I wouldn't be able to be the you're the host of game night.
Yes, yes.
So I wouldn't be able to host that kind of game night.
I'm imagining you programming your robots and you're asking what is fun, and it just starts sparking. And
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What is fun?
So the robots in my life that survive are the ones that that don't that like survive that whole programming process. So they're kind of like the idiot from Dostoevsky. They're very like simple-minded robots. It's just
Fun is moving a can from one table to
yeah,
another.
yeah. That's game night for our kin.
But you know what one of my quotes is, and I think about this every day, and I mean it with every fiber of my being. We're born knowing that life is a magical adventure, and it takes them years to train us to think otherwise. And I think that Willy Wonka approach, it's a very Camus approach. It's something I believe with every fiber of my being. I try to spread that as much as possible. I think it is very sad. I'm not being sarcastic. It comes off as condescending. I mean it at face value. It's very sad how many people are not receptive to that, and I think a lot of that function how they were raised. And I could have very easily, with my upbringing, have not maintained that perspective. And there's a lot of I have a lot of friends in recovery, like AA, and they have an expression, not my circus, not my monkeys, right? That you can't really take on other people's problems on your own. At a certain point, they have to do the work themselves because you can only do so much externally. And there are a lot of very damaged people out there. And there are damaged people who revel in being damaged, and they are damaged people who desperately want to be well, who desperately want to be happy, who desperately want to find joy. So if I can be the one, and as arrogant as this sounds, I'll own it, who does give them that fun, and to tell them it doesn't have to be like you thought. Like it could be, it's gonna hurt, it's gonna suck, but it's still a magical adventure, and you're gonna be okay because you've been through worse. Like that, if that could be my message, I would own it all day long.